Well, after one match suspension and fine by the ICC, Steve Smith has reacted. Smith says that deeply regrets the ball tampering episode. Smith also said that, and I quote, "I am embarrassed. I know the boys in the shed are embarrassed as well. I feel for Cam as well. It's not what we want to see in the game. It's not what Australian cricket is about," unquote. Well, this, in fact, Boria Majumdar, consulting sports editor, somebody who has not only kept a keen eye on this, but a massive advocate for the game of the spirit and the game to be played in the right, rules and the spirit as well. Boria, as somebody who has commented, who has watched this game, this is sad, and Steve Smith can't just get away by coming out and now expressing regret.
No, he can't. I've been speaking to people from around 3:30, 4 a.m. in this morning, Ankit, in Australia. I can tell you I've spoken to former captains, I've spoken to officials, I've spoken to journalists, and the sense of outrage in Australia is absolutely incredible. Everybody tell me this, that it will be a real surprise if Steven Smith is not stripped of captaincy and also handed a pretty serious ban. Now, how long the ban, nobody knows, but it will be a real surprise if he escapes with anything less than a sizable ban and stripped of captaincy. They tell me Darren Lehmann's position as Australian coach is untenable, so he has to go. They tell me David Warner will also be stripped of vice captaincy long term, not one test match, and he will also perhaps be handed a ban. Now, will this ban entail IPL as well is a question that no one yet sort of guarantee, but it might well be the case that these two players might lose their IPL contracts. So expect a lot of action over the next 48 hours as Ian Roy meet Steve Smith and Dave Warner and the rest of the boys in South Africa today, along with Pat Howard, because Cricket Australia knows that Australian Sports Commission, which funds Cricket Australia, is looking like a hawk. The political establishment led by Malcolm Turnbull is looking at them, and the whole country is looking at them, because otherwise this issue is not going to die down.
Boria, I request you to stay on with me. This, of course, is our top focus at the burning question today. Well, ICC has handed Australian captain Steve Smith just one match ban and fined him 100% of his match fee after he admitted to hatching the shameful ball tampering plot against the South Africans. In fact, virtually no action has been taken against Cameron Bancroft, the player who was tasked by the team leadership to tamper with the ball. Now, Australia will be playing the fourth test without the services of Steve Smith, who has temporarily stepped down as the captain. Now, wicketkeeper Tim Paine is leading the side. Vice captain David Warner has also stepped down for the series. But will Cricket Australia strip Smith of the captaincy permanently? Now, that's the big question, along with the BCCI. Will it take strong action against the cheaters and remove Smith and Warner from captaining their IPL franchise as well? In fact, both Sunrisers Hyderabad and Rajasthan Royals are expected to take a call on the disgraced Australian players' future, respectively, in the next 24 hours.
It's a very serious matter. It's a very serious issue. We all are concerned about it, because whatever has happened in Cape Town is a matter of grave concern for us. It brings disrepute to the whole game. So both captain and vice captain have been told to quit. And now, as far as IPL is concerned, Smith is captain of Rajasthan Royals, and Warner is with Hyderabad. So we will take our decision in a day or two.
Let me now go across to our burning question of the day. This is our top focus this Monday morning. Will BCCI allow Smith, Warner to play in the IPL? Should these disgraced players be allowed in the IPL? Is one test suspension enough for Steve Smith? ICC's kid gloves towards Smith. Bancroft exposes its hypocrisy. And will Cricket Australia sack Smith and Warner? Bancroft has only been made a scapegoat by the Aussie leadership, and this is not the first time that Steve Smith's team has indulged in a shameful behaviour like this. Very quickly, cutting across to Boria Majumdar, consulting editor, India Today. In fact, we are also being joined by Nikhil Chopra, former cricketer, Saurav Ganguly, former India captain, also with us. And let me start very quickly with you, Dada. The way, in fact, this entire episode has come through, the suspension for one match, 100% of his match fee, it just seems that ICC also wants to gloss over this entire shameful episode.
You know, this sort of punishments has happened before. You know, if you go back in the past and see the history, similar sort of punishments has been handed over to players in the past. So I don't think ICC has done anything more, anything less. Whether we call it soft, it's obviously up to us. But yes, it's a ball tampering issue. But what stands out in this entire episode is the orchestra, which the way this entire issue has happened. So yes, I agree with you that one match suspension and 100% match fee is soft. Not surprised not to see David Warner on the list. Surprised not to see a suspension for Bancroft on the list, or even Darren Lehman. So yes, yeah, I agree with you. They have been a little soft, but that's the way it is, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with Steve Smith and David Warner and Darren Lehman in the future of Australian cricket. The reactions have been pretty tough. The reactions have been pretty strong. Whether they ban Steve Smith for a period of time, I was reading in the newspapers that they are looking, that some of them are suggesting as a life ban. I don't think life ban will be possible at this stage, but should be right at this stage. But I think there is going to be some ban for a longer period of time. And what will also be interesting to see, Australian cricket without Steve Smith and David Warner.
Right.
You know what we saw yesterday evening. Yes, it's a team which is mentally shaken up. But this Australian team without David Warner and Steve Smith will be really a weak side.
Dada, stay on with me. In fact, Boria, if I can bring you in at this point of time, these gentlemen, these and whether you want to call them that as of now, is of course up to you. But they are supposed to not only hold the cricket, gentleman game in the highest spirit, but they are also supposed to be the role models for budding cricketers across the globe. Is this what Steve Smith is going to go down in the history? This is not the first time he has been accused of, of this sort of a behavior, or an un-cricketer-like behavior. In fact, in the past as well, has been put on him.
Absolutely correct. You know, the fact is, as Saurav was saying, Saurav is right, that, you know, if you just go legal, then perhaps the one match ban is legally right. But cricket was never about legal. Cricket is always about moral, about ethical, about standards of propriety, about issues of ethicality. And legally, yes. Morally, no. Legally, 100% fine is fine. Ethically, absolutely not. Will Steve Smith, perhaps the best batsman in the world, yes, in test match cricket, will he ever inspire confidence and respect in you and me? The answer is no. Do I want to see such a man captain of India or captain of Australia, or for that matter any country? The answer is no. Is he a future role model for an aspiring cricketer? The answer is no. Has he turned his game into a disgrace? The answer is yes. So will Rajasthan Royals also keep him as captain? The answer is no. So, you know, ultimately they have not only shamed the game, they have shamed themselves and their country. And that is why Saurav was talking about ban. I can tell you, I've been speaking to people from 4 a.m. this morning in Australia, the establishment, former cricketers, former captains, and there is no debate that there is a likelihood of a ban, a longer term ban, not life ban, for Steve Smith, maybe a lesser ban for David Warner, and clearly Darren Lehman's position is untenable. Just to finish off, Ankit, before you go to your other guests, you know, in the India Today conclave, historian Yuval Harari said that one of the most universal aspects in this world is stupidity. I can't just not agree. I mean, how stupid can you be?
Right.
How stupid can you be that you plan around lunchtime to cheat with some 30-odd cameras focused on you? This is stupid, this is ridiculous, this is nonsensical.
You know, Nikhil, if I can bring you in at this point of time, what is also astonishing is the whole, as Boria was saying, on one side it's stupid, but the entire management team, top leadership coming together, the conspiracy angle of one individual player doing something is a different thing, but the entire top management of a team, in fact, sitting down, hatching this conspiracy, that shows you the mindset of what we call the sportsmanship. If you are in a precarious situation in a game, resort to any mean, even if it entails to cheating, to win that match.
You know, Ankit, it is so unfortunate. If you, I'm here in Sydney, from from the moment this thing was caught on camera and the debate started. The Australian Prime Minister has also spoken to the Cricket Australia chairman, and we're talking about one match suspension from the ICC. Trust you me, the entire country here with the newspaper articles and everything, everybody is shocked, in disbelief. This is not the way Australia plays its sport. They don't want Steve Smith to showcase that, yes, blatant cheating, meditated cheating. They don't want role models of that sort. Every bar you go to, every point.
Getting some audio problem with there. In fact, we'll try and reconnect with Nikhil. But before I go back to Dada and Boria, let me quickly cut across to Rasesh, who's joining us from the BCCI headquarters in Mumbai. Shalini Lobo, my colleague, is joining us from the corporate office, Sun corporate office in Chennai as well. If I can very quickly come to you, Rasesh, first. What is the BCCI's official stand on this? They in fact will have to come out and take some sort of a line to give an indication to the IPL franchisees of how they want to deal with these issues. Remember, IPL also gives a lot of opportunity to young players from India. Do they want young players from India to play alongside Smith and Warner, who possibly, being greats in the game, have also showed an absolutely disgraceful behavior on the field?
Yes, Ankita, I'm outside the BCCI headquarters at the moment here in Mumbai, and there is some activity that is expected to happen. There will be some series of phone calls. One here's the franchisees, the two franchisees in question, Sunrisers Hyderabad and Steve Smith's Rajasthan Royals, have been in touch with the BCCI officials. And you're right in saying that the BCCI at some point in time will have to take a call. Perhaps Saurav, who's with us in the IPL Governing Council, may come in at some stage, because the ICC is obviously the overall sense that has acted according to the rule book that they have, but perhaps the laws are archaic in the sense that they treated it as a mere ball tampering issue, despite the fact that it was an orchestrated act of cheating. So the answers would be sort of BCCI and the IPL as well, whether they want to treat it just as that, because the IPL chairman Rajesh Shukla yesterday suggested they'll act based upon how the ICC reacts. If Cricket Australia takes a sterner stand, and there is certainly a lot of public outrage in Australia, then perhaps that decision may be taken away from the BCCI, because if there is, if Warner and Smith are out for a period of time, and if that includes the IPL, then that decision may well be taken away. But if there is obviously commercial elements involved as well, franchises have paid some serious money to get these players, so perhaps Cricket Australia might want to make BCCI a party to that decision as well. So we'll wait and see how that goes. But remember, the BCCI will be asked if they want to treat this issue as merely ball tampering, or whether they also think this has brought disrepute to their league, just the way people are asking in Australia if the issue has brought disrepute to Australian cricket.
Stay on with me, Rasesh. Let me quickly cut across to Shalini Lobo. Shalini, the meeting, of course, pending there to decide the future of Steve Smith and David Warner as far as the captains of Sunrisers Hyderabad and Rajasthan Royals is concerned. What are you hearing from your sources of what sort of an action can be taken against them? Because remember, IPL starts with all the captains taking a pledge to uphold the spirit of the game.
Well, Ankit, clearly a very short time towards the IPL right now, and what we hear is that there's going to be a meeting around noon today, from which the owner of the Sunrisers, you have Mr. Kalanidhi Maran, who will take part from the Sun Group office. It will be a video conference meeting with the rest of the team in Hyderabad. And Rajasthan Royals, while they have already put out a press statement saying that they will not tolerate any kind of unethical work that's going on within the team, we're yet to hear from the Sunrisers group as well. They are going to take a decision today on whether they will keep David Warner in the team or not. Post noon is when we'll hear something concrete as what is it that they're going to do about this.
Right, Shalini, stay on with me. In fact, let me just very quickly go back to Saurav Ganguly, former India captain. Saurav, the great cricketers, whosoever from across, cricketing nations, especially the Indian ones as well, Sachin Tendulkar or VVS Lakshman, Rahul Dravid, yourself, Despite whatever you have achieved on the field, people remember them for their humbleness, for the way they uphold the spirit of the game. Steve Smith, as Boria was saying, maybe the best batsman, test batsman in the world. Ultimately, he will go down in the test books or in the history books as somebody who played absolutely against the rules and also the spirit of the game.
Yeah, I agree with you, to be honest, and let me say something. He's not the worst person around. Yes, Boria, as very rightly said, he's probably the best test batsman in the world at the moment. But I think what he's done is something very, very stupid. Pressure can get to you. Pressures of international cricket. 1-1 in the series. You're down and looking down the barrel in this test match, and I think the pressure has got to Steve Smith. The pressure of captaincy. I don't think he's a bad person, but what he's done will stick to him for the rest of his life. Maybe it'll teach him a few things. Maybe he'll come out of it as a better human being and in the future. But this stigma, or this whatever you call it, will remain with him for the rest of his life, and he will have to deal with it. Luckily it's tampering and it's not fixing and betting, so he will have to look at it that way, that yes, I was trying to change the texture of a cricket ball, which is obviously against the spirit of the game, but obviously is a lesser crime than fixing and betting cricket matches. So probably that's his only consolation in this entire episode. But this is something which he will have to live for the rest of his life. Yes, there have been issues of Australian cricketers going against the spirit of the game in the past, whether it's sledging, whether it's underarm bowling, whether it's information to people outsiders regarding the weather or the state of the pitch. There have been issues in the past, and they have lived with it. So Stephen Smith will have to live with it, and even Warner and even Lehman and even young Bancroft will have to live with it. And I think the key for them will be to come back and get the respect back among his teammates. You could see a very disappointed Tim Payne at the post-match conference yesterday, and it was pretty clear on his face that he was hurt and shocked by the entire episode, and the Australians felt like a pack of cards. You look at Darren Lehman on your screen, he's got the glasses on. Yesterday he was different without the glasses and the walkie-talkie. He knows there is focus on him. Absolutely. And he's found that way to keep away from the media. So it will have an effect on all these individuals, and it will be very interesting to see how they come back as cricketers. And I say once again, it will be very interesting to see how does the Australian team shape up, because without Warner, without Smith, this is a weak side.
But absolutely, apart from the effect that it will have on the Australian side, it will have some sort of an effect on the game as a whole. I mean, of course, a lot of people questioning the way the Australians play this game and the spirit in which they play it. It can't be that competitive that you completely go against the spirit. Now, how is the ball tampering done, and what did Cameron Bancroft do to tamper with the ball? Let's quickly take a look at in fact, Vikrant Gupta, our sports editor, put out this demonstration on what exactly the Australians were trying to achieve with this ball tampering situation.
And if you really want to know how and why the Australians were so stupid, let me tell you the secret of that yellow tape. It's a similar tape. It's a sticky tape. So what happens is that Bancroft had this tape on his hand, and since it's a sticky tape on either side, the moment he would rub the hand and the tape on the pitch or on any of the soil or the sand around, he would get the sand on his tape, and then he could actually scruff up the ball. Like this could be a normal ball, and if you start scratching the surface with the roughness of the sand and the soil on the tape, the result is something like this. You get a ball which is scruffed up, and obviously the moment the ball is scruffed up on one side, the ball starts reverse swinging. So this tape, which is a sticky tape, you place your hand on the mud, on the soil, or wherever on the pitch, you get it on your hand on the tape, and then you start scruffing the ball. This is what Bancroft tried to do.
I have to slip into a very quick break. On the other side, I'm going to go back to Boria Majumdar, and I also want to understand whether there are double standards being displayed by the ICC as well. There is a tweet that Harbhajan Singh has also put out.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.